You know what sucks? Losing stuff. You know what really sucks? Losing stuff on a massive public transit system full of moving trains, people, and pizza rats. Or so I thought. Turns out, the New York City subway actually has a surprisingly robust underground lost and found system that reunites thousands of New Yorkers with their beloved Who's-Its and What's-Its every year. Here's how it works. Just below the 34th Street subway and also below the 34th Street subway, you'll find the MTA Lost and Found, a hub for 30,000 items lost on New York's buses and trains every year. Unclaimed items live here for up to 3 years, depending on their value, so things pile up. In 2018, their inventory included 50,891 cell phones and 8,253 social security cards. They also had 41 saxophones, up from 23 4 years prior. Follow this trend to the present day, and we can estimate that there are currently 63.5 saxophones collecting dust at Penn Station. But that assumes a linear relationship. If we go for this quadratic, we get a whopping 114.125 saxophones, which is almost how many it would take to make Bill Clinton cool again. Various reports also mention air conditioners, false teeth, and a briefcase containing a quote, dizzying array of adult toys, all of which sounds less like a lost and found inventory and more like the packing list for a rowdy weekend in Boca. So how exactly does the MTA collect and return all this stuff? Say you left your journal on the subway. You'll file a claim on the MTA's website, including your travel details, what you lost, and when you lost it. You can also list defining characteristics like the special purple journaling pen you use, or the fact that every other entry is about how much you hate Kevin from work. Then you put in your contact info and wait. In the meantime, your journal is Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. Maybe it makes it to the end of the line and an MTA employee turns it in at the station's booth after cleaning the train. Later on, the same system of armored trucks that transports the cash and the ticket machines to the counting facility in Queens will pick up your journal and take it to Penn Station. There, the employees enter it into their database and check to see if it matches any of the claims filed, which it does. They contact you, so now you can either make a pickup appointment or pay the shipping cost, answering the age-old question, how much would you pay to not go to Penn Station? But what if your journal never made it to the lost and found? Like any good dating service, the MTA pings you to say they're still looking for matches after 5, 10, and 21 days, and if they haven't succeeded in 30 days, they'll tell you it's a lost cause. In this case, literally. As for all the stuff that never gets matched, they'll eventually put it up for auction with the proceeds helping fund MTA service. As far as I can tell, they haven't done one of these auctions in at least 5 years, which explains a lot about MTA service. The system works great in theory, but how does it do in practice? Social media is full of success stories, and estimates online say anywhere from 32 to 60% of the stuff at Penn Station makes it home. That's a pretty wide range, and only covers stuff that gets there in the first place. If you really wanted to know how your journal would fare, you'd have to really lose it. That's why I sent Amy, Half As Interesting's outside correspondent, to ditch 5 journals on the subway and see what happened. All 5 were half full with totally believable, totally fake stories. To improve our chances of getting them back, she put contact info and/or an impassioned plea to turn it in on the inside covers. And for the sake of variety, one was a sketchbook, which had to look high effort to be worth returning. How long did this take? I don't care. Before we could even fill out a claim, a friendly New Yorker reached out to say he found one of the journals and wanted to return it. We had it back within an hour, so naturally I sent Amy right down to the subway to turn it in at the booth. Then she filled out 5 claim forms and we waited. A week later, another friendly New Yorker DM'd looking to return the sketchbook, but when Amy tried to arrange a pickup, they ghosted, which was disappointing, but also an incredible power move that I can't help but respect. By the time we got our no update email update, we were feeling pretty impatient. So I had Amy check every station booth that could conceivably have the journals to see if they'd been turned in, since they're supposed to keep a log of these things. All of them said that they didn't have a journal, and also that they don't keep a log of these things. How long did this take? Again, I don't care. We made an appointment to grovel at Penn Station on the assumption/hope that the journal Amy had turned in 10 minutes away might have gotten there in the last 2.5 weeks. The guy working the office was nice enough to check and mean enough to make fun of her for submitting 15 claims in one day, even though she'd only submitted 5. He also said they didn't have the journal, so all in all, not the most helpful man in New York. At the end of the day, the subway's lost and found system is a lot like, well, the subway system. It's vast, it's complicated, it runs on whatever schedule it's feeling that day, and New Yorkers have no choice but to depend on it. And sure, it hasn't returned any of our journals yet, but one guy did, so maybe the real lost and found was the friends we made along the way. Taking public transit, despite the risk of losing your 5 favorite journals along the way, is a great way to minimize your impact on the planet. Do you want to know another? This video's sponsor, Red. Last year, I made a whole video about how the carbon offset marketplace allows, even encourages, scam offsets that don't do anything to fight climate change. And while I've rejected tons of sponsorships from offset companies that couldn't convince me they were legit, I'm as convinced as I can be that Wren is the real deal. They rigorously vet every project they fund and split your investments across 7 of them so you still make an impact if one comes up short. And their projects are genuinely cool. In Scotland, for example, Wren funds a fast-growing mineral weathering project that sequesters carbon in rock for millions of years, longer than it takes for the MTA to give you your phone back. I use Wren for both my personal and business offsetting, and I really appreciate the monthly updates they send on each of the projects I've supported. It really helps me feel like I'm making an impact even with just a small amount paid. If you're ready to start offsetting your own emissions in the best, most reliable way possible, click the button on screen or follow the link in the description, and the first 100 to sign up will get their first month of the subscription covered by Wren for free.